If your return has even one small error or missing piece of information, it gets pulled out of the automatic processing line and sits in a manual review queue. While you're waiting, someone who filed 2 months later with a perfect return gets their money in 3 weeks. The difference this year is that the new tax laws have created dozens of new ways your return can get flagged. And most tax software hasn't been fully updated to catch these issues before you submit. But before we talk about those flags, you need to understand why this year's tax law changes are creating chaos that even the IRS wasn't ready for. The $47,500 deduction most people don't know exists. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act created three brand new deductions that could put up to $47,500 back in your pocket. But here's the problem nobody saw coming. The law passed in December 2025, which gave employers less than 5 months to update their payroll systems before the end of the year. According to the American Payroll Association, only 34% of companies with under 500 employees successfully updated their withholding tables by December 31st. That means roughly 66% of workers at small and medium businesses had incorrect tax withholding for at least part of 2025. If you're a server who made $30,000 in tips, you can now deduct $25,000 of that income. If you worked 300 hours of overtime and earned an extra $15,000, you can deduct $12,500 of it. If you financed a car and paid $8,000 in loan interest, you can deduct all of it. These three deductions alone could reduce your taxable income by tens of thousands of dollars, which translates to thousands back in your refund. But here's where it gets tricky, and this is causing massive confusion right now. Your W-2 might be lying to you. The W-2 form you receive from your employer shows your total wages and how much tax was withheld throughout the year. In a normal year, those numbers are straightforward and accurate. This year, they might be completely misleading. Because most employers didn't update their systems, your W-2 might show that you earned $50,000 in wages when under the new law. Your actual taxable income could be $35,000 after the new deductions. The National Association of Tax Professionals surveyed 2,100 tax preparers in early January, and 67% reported that they're already seeing W-2 forms that don't properly separate tip income, overtime pay, or other newly deductible categories. This creates a nightmare scenario where you have to manually calculate and document these deductions yourself. And if you get it wrong, your entire return gets held up. Even worse, some employers are issuing corrected W-2 forms in February and March as they realize their mistakes, which means people who filed in late January with the original W-2 will have to amend their returns later. The IRS stated in their January filing season guidance that they expect amended return filings to increase by 40% this year compared to 2025. And amended returns currently take an average of 16 weeks to process. Here's what I want to know from you. Have you already received your W-2 for 2025? And if so, does it break out your tip income or overtime pay separately? Or is it all lumped together in one wage number? Drop a comment and let me know because I'm trying to gauge how widespread this problem actually is. The IRS just lost 21,000 employees. Let's talk about something the IRS really doesn't want you focusing on right now. Between January 2025 and January 2026, the agency reduced its workforce from approximately 83,000 employees to 62,000 employees. That's a loss of 21,000 people in just 1 year. To put that in perspective, that's like if Amazon suddenly lost the entire workforce of 150 warehouses overnight. The departments hit hardest were customer service, return processing, and correspondence handling. Last year, if you called the IRS with a question, the average wait time was 33 minutes, and you had a 29% chance of reaching a live person. This year, early reports from tax professionals who've tried calling show wait times exceeding 90 minutes, and some are reporting that the phone system simply disconnects the call after 2 hours of holding. The Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration released a report in December, showing that the IRS is expected to process 167 million individual tax returns this season with 25% fewer staff than last year. Simple math tells you that each remaining employee now has to handle 25% more returns than they did before. What does this mean for you practically? Any mistake, any flag, any question about your return that requires human review is going to take dramatically longer to resolve. But the staffing shortage isn't even the biggest operational change hitting taxpayers this year. Paper checks are going extinct. Starting this filing season, the IRS is eliminating paper check refunds for the vast majority of taxpayers. Last year, 9.2 million people received their refunds as physical checks mailed to their homes. This year, that number is projected to drop below 1 million. The IRS updated their processing systems in December to automatically flag any return that doesn't include direct deposit information. If you file without providing a bank account and routing number, you'll receive a CP01 notice in the mail asking you to provide it before they'll release your refund. According to the IRS's own timeline, that notice takes 7 to 10 business days to arrive. Then you have to respond by mail or through their online portal. And then they process your response before issuing the refund. That's adding a minimum of 3 to 4 extra weeks to your refund timeline. The push toward electronic payments is partly about efficiency, but it's also about fraud prevention. The IRS reported that in 2024, they identified over $3.1 billion in fraudulent refund claims, and 78% of those involved paper checks sent to addresses that didn't match the taxpayers' records. Direct deposit refunds go to verified bank accounts, which makes it much harder for scammers to steal. For people who don't have bank accounts, the IRS is now offering refunds loaded onto prepaid debit cards, but you have to specifically request that option when you file. What most people don't realize is that choosing direct deposit doesn't just speed up your refund. It actually protects you from a much bigger problem that's about to hit millions of filers. The February filers who wait until August for their money. Here's a pattern that happens every single year. And this year, it's going to be worse than ever. People file their taxes in early February thinking they'll get their refund by early March. Instead, they're still waiting in August. The IRS publishes data on refund delays. And in 2025, 14.3 million taxpayers experienced refund delays exceeding 90 days. The number one reason, filing before all necessary documents arrived. When energy tax credits are a perfect example. If you installed solar panels on your home in 2025, you're eligible for a 30% tax credit on the installation cost. Let's say you spent $20,000 on solar panels. That's a $6,000 credit, but to claim it, you need IRS Form 5695, a certification from the manufacturer, and documentation proving the installation date and cost. Many solar companies don't send those documents until late February or early March. If you file in early February without them and try to claim the credit anyway, your return gets flagged. The same thing happens with education credits, electric vehicle credits, and energy efficiency credits. The IRS received 28 million claims for various energy and education credits last year, and 41% of them were initially rejected or held for additional documentation. Once your return is flagged and pulled for review, you're looking at 12 to 20 weeks minimum before it's resolved. And that's with last year's staffing levels. With this year's reduced workforce, that timeline could easily stretch to 24 weeks or more. The National Taxpayer Advocate specifically warned in their 2025 annual report that premature filing is the single biggest preventable cause of refund delays. Let me ask you something and be honest. If you're expecting a refund, what would you do with that money? Pay bills, save it, invest it, or something else? Comment below because understanding what people are counting on their refunds for helps explain why these delays are so devastating. The new reporting rules that catch everyone off guard. There are 3 new reporting requirements this year that are catching people completely unprepared, and failing to report them correctly can trigger audits or penalties. First, any payment over $600 received through third-party payment platforms like Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, or Zelle now requires a 1,099K form. The IRS lowered the reporting threshold from $20,000 and 200 transactions down to just $600. If you sold items online, did any freelance work, or received payments from friends for shared expenses that exceeded $600, you're getting a 1,099K and you need to report it. The IRS estimates that this change alone will generate 44 million additional 1,099K forms this year. Second, cryptocurrency transactions have new detailed reporting requirements. If you bought, sold, traded, or earned any cryptocurrency in 2025, you must answer yes to the digital asset question on your tax return and report all transactions. The IRS matched blockchain data to tax returns last year and caught 1.7 million people who failed to report crypto activity. The penalties start at $10,000 and can include criminal charges for willful evasion. Third, if you had a foreign bank account with more than $10,000 in it at any point during 2025, you're required to file an FBR report separately from your tax return. Missing this filing carries a penalty of $10,000 per year, even if the failure was unintentional. These three reporting requirements alone are expected to flag over 20 million returns this year for additional IRS scrutiny. And most people don't even know they apply to them until it's too late. Why a big refund actually means you lost money. Let me explain something that most people don't understand about tax refunds, and it's going to change how you think about your withholding. If you get a $4,000 refund in March 2026, that means you overpaid your taxes by $4,000 throughout 2025. You gave the government $333 extra from every single paycheck for an entire year, and they're now giving it back to you with zero interest. Let's put that in perspective. If you had kept that $333 per month and put it into a high-yield savings account, earning 4.5% interest, you would have earned an extra $99 in interest over the year. That might not sound like much, but multiply that over 10 years. And you're talking about $990 in lost interest. Now consider that if you had used that $333 per month to pay down credit card debt charging 22% interest, you would have saved $433 in interest charges over the year. The average tax refund in America is $3,200, and 73% of taxpayers receive refunds every year. That means Americans collectively give the IRS an interest-free loan of over $390 billion annually. Financial advisors call this the forced savings fallacy, where people convince themselves that overpaying taxes is a good savings strategy. The smarter approach is to adjust your W-4 form with your employer to have the correct amount withheld. Then set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings account for that extra money each month. You keep control of your own money. You earn interest on it, and you can access it anytime for emergencies instead of waiting until tax season. The IRS provides a tax withholding estimator tool on their website that takes about 10 minutes to complete and tells you exactly how to fill out your W-4 to get your withholding right. The 5 things you must do before filing. Let me give you the exact action steps that will protect you from the most common mistakes happening right now. Step 1. Wait until February 15th at the earliest to file, even if you have all your documents. The IRS doesn't start processing most returns until mid-February anyway. And giving yourself that extra time buffer ensures you don't miss any corrected forms or late arriving documents. Step 2. Verify every number on your W-2 against your final pay-up from December. If your total wages don't match, if your withholding seems wrong, or if tip income or overtime isn't broken out separately, contact your employer's payroll department immediately and request a corrected W-2. Step 3. Set up direct deposit. Even if you've always received paper checks in the past, get your bank account routing number and account number, verify them twice, and enter them exactly as they appear on your checks. One wrong digit will delay your refund by 6 to 8 weeks. Step 4. If you're claiming any of the new deductions for tips, overtime, or auto loan interest, gather documentation now proving you qualify. That means pay stubs showing overtime hours, tip logs, or credit card receipts showing tip income, and loan statements showing interest paid. Don't assume the IRS will take your word for it. Step 5. Use tax preparation software or hire a professional if your situation involves any of these: self-employment income, rental property, investment income, energy credits, education credits, or the new deductions. The cost of professional help ranges from $150 to $500 depending on complexity, but the average delayed refund costs people $2,100 in lost financial opportunities. According to a 2024 study by the Financial Planning Association, spending $300 to avoid a 3-month delay on a $5,000 refund is the smartest money decision you can make. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you one more time. What's your biggest concern or question about filing your taxes this year? Are you worried about delays, confused about the new deductions, or stressed about something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments because your questions help me create content that actually solves the problems you're dealing with right now. You now know exactly what to do before filing your taxes this year. Don't rush. Gather everything and file it right the first time. If this video helped you avoid a costly mistake, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future updates. File smart, not fast.